What is going on, YouTube? So I wanted to do a video today kind of talking about how I used gaming collection and just video games in general as an escape, as a childhood trauma, an escape in adulthood, and really just an escape in general. A lot of people don't know that, when you're dealing with depression, anxiety, OCD, any kind of mental illnesses, if you can't face them head on, a lot of times you will find something to, kind of like I said, escape that. So as a lot of you know, in the past, been diagnosed with, depression and anxiety, and a lot of it, what my therapist could say was leading up to, or not leading up to, is coming from as a kid, just the. An alcoholic parent, a not present parent, and then also, just divorce.
Hey, listen.
So growing up, I was really into video games, from a young age. I remember, getting an NES as a younger kid, and just loving it. Playing video games and stuff like that. Growing up, I was also very shy. So as people were out, socializing and doing a lot of other stuff, I was more inclined to stay home. And it was always feeling of inadequacy, and then a lot of times I think that kind of grew into my future relationships as I grew up. So what I loved about video games was I didn't have to do anything special, really. I just had to sit down, I could play the game and enjoy it. I could be that hero that I really wanted to be. I could be that, mage that was full of power and everything. And it was just, I think that's really why I grew into liking RPGs and stuff so much, was I could be something I wasn't. And as a kid, it's hard to see that kind of thing. I'd see all my friends and stuff like that. They, for the most part, seem to have, healthy, happy family lives. And I'm not saying that, I grew up in, like, an abusive household or, physically or mentally really abused too much. It was more along the lines of just, like I said, I had a non-present alcoholic parent. And then at a young age, around 10 years old, also helped lead to the divorce, and then it was just, from there on, it's kind of, what do I want to say, just snowballed. So video games helped with that trauma because it kind of let me know and forget what was going on. And like I said, the whole being who you weren't and everything. And even as an adult, growing up and doing therapy now and stuff and facing that stuff head on, it really, really, really lets me kind of just look back. And like I said, like the trauma of going onward, and then video games just being there. It's hard to talk about, and I don't really know the right words to use. I mean, if trauma was so easy to understand, we could all just find a way to fix it and not be done with. I know that with the help of my wife and everything now, and my kids pushing me to better myself so I could be a better person for them, is really helping me do that. And with the whole anxiety of the issues, I find that video games helps me a lot through that, because it kind of helps me get my mind off of it and stop overthinking everything. Just minor stuff that, not looking forward to or just scared and nervous about. Video games kind of seem to help me push that off to the side and try to have some kind of enjoyment. Now, I've been watching a lot of Instagram reels and stuff lately, and it's been making me think, because it talks about clinical depression, and it talks about, losing interest in the things you once loved. And that's one of the huge parts of depression. And when I started collecting video games, I think I was taking a shortcut to make that depression better. I was getting those nice dopamine spikes, and I was getting, very just good feelings. And I think what helped with a lot too of healing the childhood, my inner child, was getting the video games that I wanted as a kid that I couldn't get, or in general just getting the video games from my childhood. So I mean, I know a big one was I never had Super Mario World growing up. All my friends did. My friends had Super Nintendos. Everybody, well, and I was the Sega kid. And I remember when I first got my Super Nintendo, a few years back, and I got Super Mario World, and then I also got, the SNES Classic and stuff like that. And I remember sitting down and actually playing Super Mario World from start to finish, unlocking most of the worlds, and doing some of that stuff I really couldn't do as a kid. And when I finally beat it, just like an overwhelming sense of calm, relief, just something. It was Nirvana maybe. I don't know exactly what it was, and it took me back to being a kid again and being at my friend's house and playing Super Mario World. And as a kid, we never really got to it took us, what felt like years to beat that game. In all seriousness, it seemed like that because I didn't, obviously I didn't live there, so I wasn't playing it every day with them. Plus, I had friends they were brothers, so they'd always mess with each other by deleting their save file. So by the time we'd get halfway through a game, we'd lose it because the brother would get mad at the other brother and delete it. But that's neither here said or not. I don't know what I was going with that, but I just remember that. And when it came down to it and I beat that game, it was almost like, wow, I completed it. And buying some other games, like Super Mario All-Stars, everything with that, it was just like, some of these games really brought me back. But the good part about it was bringing me back to the good parts of being a child. Not the parent gone, drinking all the time with their friends. Not the, being 10 years old and, moving away from where I was living at and all that other stuff. And it was like, it just reminded me of the simple times of playing video games, and that was all you care about. Hey buddy, what are you doing Friday night? Nothing. What do you want to do? Oh, we should play this game. Yeah, no problem. Let's play Mortal Kombat. Let's play Street Fighter. The good stuff. And as an adult, growing, more into this and getting more in tuned with the actual playing of the video games instead of the collecting part has really helped me recently. Sitting down and playing games that have been in my backlog, sitting down and playing games that I've always wanted to play and beat, but never had the opportunity to because I was so focused on everything else in my life. And it's just been feeling very good. My therapist that I had once, told me that a lot of times when adults, once they become parents, once they, get old enough and stuff, they start losing that sense of wonder, sense of childhood, like that whole, I don't know exactly. When you mature, you really change, is what I think it came down to. And he said that, what is my passion? What do I do anymore? And at the time, it was nothing. I was so, on an identity crisis. I was, stuck between father / workaholic / recovering alcoholic, drug addict. And so he said I had to be more selfish about it. And that was when I was like, okay, well, I don't want to be too selfish, obviously, because I'm a parent and stuff like that. But he said I needed to find the time to do the things I loved. And at the time, like I said, it was an identity crisis, so I didn't even know what I really loved. And that was when I was really focusing on the gaming and stuff, because I've always loved gaming. I mean, some people grow out of it. Like, I could see with my older two boys, they kind of already grew out of, in their younger age, they were really into it, and then they kind of grew out of it. But I've always been playing video games since, I could, so 33 years, I'm 36 years old, and I remember being 3 and 4 and playing NES, and I haven't stopped since. I've taken breaks, and I haven't been as hardcore as I once was, but it's just, anything video game related is just so awesome. And I think that's why I really am enjoying the kind of popularity of some of these videos I'm doing now is getting, and spreading awareness more about this mentalness of this, because June was Men's Mental Health Month was part of it. Obviously it was another thing going on this month, but I never heard anybody really talking about that. And it was all about, I want to say Pride Month, but it was all about that and everything going on with that. It wasn't really about the other part of it, which was men's mental health. And it's very, very important. I mean, from what I understand and from what I could see in social media, in the news, newspapers, everything, suicide in men is super high. I'm not saying now it is. It's always been that way. I mean, you can look back and just see that, men as they get older, they get a lot put on them. I'm not saying this is not going to be turning into a men are better than women thing. I don't want anybody to believe that. I don't do that. But it just seems like men always have a chip on their shoulder because they were raised and was groomed to not show emotion, to not talk about things that bother them, to just say that, hey, I'm fine, I'm fine, and deal with it. And when I started therapy and we started going through this stuff in my childhood, there was signs there leading to why, the generation that I was in was raised that way as well. And one of the big things is that just be a man and stuff like that. Or, and it's just kind of like, God, it's crazy thinking that. But this video was just supposed to be about why video gaming and stuff has helped me. People want to talk about, you need to face your problems head on. You shouldn't escape from them. And I don't really think that the gaming part of mine is escaping from it. I think it's more along the lines of just doing something that I really love, and I need to keep doing that. So I go to the gym. I love my kids and my wife, and gaming. And those are like, my big three things besides YouTube, and supporting other YouTubers and stuff like that. And it's just that playing the video games and then doing all that stuff, especially now when I get, like, one of my biggest things that I love to do is just sitting down and playing a video game with my wife. Anything simple, she's not a big hardcore gamer like I am. She does like the classics, like Super Mario World, Donkey Kong Country, and stuff on Super Nintendo. But the other big thing now too is that my youngest is getting old enough to play video games now. So Anakin is actually closing in on 6 years old, and we've been playing like Lego Jurassic Park, Mario Party, stuff like that, and one of the big things that heals my inner childhood is taking him to a game store, which my parents never really did. They dropped me off at the GameStop or, whatever, but being able to share my knowledge of video games with him and just going to the game store with him and him being so excited to buy a video game and go home and play it right away, and knowing that, growing up we didn't have as much money and stuff like that. And so I didn't get that feeling as often. It was birthdays and holidays maybe. But, being able to provide that entertainment and that source of fun for him and excitement makes it, like I said, it really heals my inner childhood trauma, because he is able to do, the stuff that I wish I could have did more, but I wasn't, given the opportunities to. Now, I know it's important not to teach him, not everything's about material objects, and it's whatever, it's not that, but he's happy. And therefore, I'm happy because he's happy. And I think that's really what matters about it. And just so that we can share, that together, like the whole nature of video games and the entertainment and valued in that. And like I said, just to me, it's no different than being than loving books and reading books and getting lost in the story. That's almost the same to me, like video games, because people will talk about how I've heard people complaining, video games aren't an art, they're violence, blah, 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 but it really is an art style if you think about it, and I just consider it more of an interactive art style, instead of just being like it's presented to you. A lot of games nowadays, you can do what you want, you have the open world, you can be who you want to be, and stuff like that, and that's what it's really about. But I've kind of ranted on a little bit more about this now, and I just want to know what you guys think in the comments below. These videos sometimes are hard for me to talk about. Well, they're not really hard for me to talk about, but it's hard for me sometimes to upload because I don't know the response I'm going to get. But I love the rawness of doing this and being honest with you guys, because I felt like when I first started my channel, I tried to have this whole, what I want to say, cheery, being not who I am and being what I thought that people on YouTube would want. And after these responses of the videos that I've been doing, where I've been raw and truthful with everybody, I get comments all the time talking about, that people are sharing the similar stories with me, sharing the same issues, and just loving, just being honest with them. And so that's what these videos usually are about. And like I said, I don't know how well they're going to do, and it really doesn't matter to me nowadays how well my videos do. Now, I'll do some videos here every once in a while that are specifically targeted towards getting views, because I obviously want my channel to grow. I love making videos, but I'm not here to quit my job someday to make YouTube videos. I'm not here to turn this into a full-time job or start, I don't know where I'm going with that, but I'm just doing this for fun. But the views help, and spreading awareness about other stuff too. Like I said, June was Men's Mental Health Month, and no one was really ever talking about it. And just, if any of these videos help just one person, they're worthwhile to me. Especially since, being in recovery and stuff like that from addiction. And I say in all my videos, if you ever have a problem with addiction or any kind of not just men's mental health, but mental health in general, you guys can feel free to DM me on Instagram if you need to talk about stuff. It's no judgment here. Most likely, if you've done it, I've done it, and I know that's the one thing a lot of times that people in recovery share. But even even mental health in general, if you guys need to talk about stuff, you can either talk to me, or don't be afraid to talk to somebody you love or trust, because a lot of times the problem with men and their mental health, and ladies are like this too. Ladies think that they have to, women, sorry if that, but they think they have to hold stuff in and not show weakness. And the problem is you can show weakness, but do it to the right people. And do it to people you trust, because that's the way it goes. So I'm going to stop the video right there. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Please comment below what you guys think, what you guys are currently struggling with, if you're comfortable to talk about it. And going forward, how are video games been an escape for you? And do you really think that they're very important for stuff like that? But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. As always, stay retro, my friends, and I hope to see you in the next one.